I asked him, ultimately after the contract was signed, like, what made you sway to HomeGuys over your other offer? He said he looked at the reviews online. He said they were all positive. And he also said, which I thought was really cool, that he saw a couple Bible verses on our About page. And he said those kind of values and morals align with him. And that was another reason why he decided to come with HomeGuys.
All right, welcome back to the James and Jaden Real Estate Podcast, where we talk about real estate and whatever else comes up. Today, our special guest is, I'm going to let him introduce himself and what he does for the company. So how's it going, Zach?
Good. How are you guys?
Living the dream. Jaden, you?
Doing great.
There you go.
There you go.
So James said it. My name is Zach. I am HomeGuys business development manager. I came in here to, drive business, generate leads in ways other than, TV, radio, and all the other ways HomeGuys was doing it. My focus is primarily on probate personal reps and probate attorneys right now. I came from an outfit where, 80% of their deals were from attorneys and just personal reps, trying to replicate what they did for HomeGuys and make it happen.
That's pretty awesome. Zach, when did you actually start with us?
I've been here for about 6 weeks now.
Oh, shoot. Is it really only been that long?
Yeah, about 6 weeks.
Okay. And I'm going to spoil alert, but we got a first deal already. That is pretty fast.
We did. We got a pretty good one over in White Bear Lake. First time home buyer kind of deal, 3-bed, 1-bath, can easily add a bedroom, bath in the basement if you want to. Everything came together and it's signed, sealed, and delivered on its way.
Zach, tell us a little bit about how that deal came in and what we were doing to get that deal, and how did you get it signed?
Yeah, so it was strategic marketing through the personal rep campaign. We're using a letter writing service right now. We're sending out roughly 150 letters to personal reps every other week. And this personal rep, saw our letter, probably Googled us, saw our brand, and decided to call in and say, hey, I've got a property. Can you come take a look at it? I scheduled an appointment a couple days later, went out there, had a great conversation with the guy, made some good rapport, gave him our offer. He came back a few days later, said he had one higher offer. Can you match it? And I said, let me go back and look. We met somewhere in the middle, and he decided to ultimately go with us just because of the brand. He was excited about what we were going to do with it and trusted the thing would close. So
the branding it probably really helps on this, I'm assuming, because this guy, did you ask him anything, any in-depth question like, hey, how did you, I realize you got the mailing, but did you just go off of that? Because I'm sure he's had to get other mailings. Everybody mails, probate and foreclosures, right? And so this has always been my vision of thinking that because we're branded so heavily, that once we start going to these people that are in trouble, that they're like, oh, this is the guy that I've been seeing on TV, I want to go to him, versus you got, my name is Steve, I buy houses.
Yeah.
But does Steve really buy houses? So did you ask him any of that?
Yeah, I asked him, ultimately after the contract was signed, like, what made you sway to HomeGuys over your other offer? He said he looked at the reviews online. He said we had a lot more reviews than anyone else out there. He said they were all positive. And he also said, which I thought was really cool, that he saw a couple Bible verses on our About page. And he said those kind of values and morals align with him. And that was another reason why he decided to come with HomeGuys.
Jaden?
Awesome. We've heard that story a lot.
We've actually heard that
story a lot.
Yeah.
We have that lead I was talking about in Coon Rapids. He said he actually had prayed about it, deciding which way he was going to go. And he shot us a call after 3 months of praying on it. So, that's definitely, it's moving. It's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
That is super exciting to hear.
That was a mail lead. Which list was that from?
Probate personal rep. It's a list that I have my VA pulling. He's pulling roughly 150 to 200 leads every other week. And we're just attacking them with letters. And then a week after they receive their letters, we're ripping them with calls. So that that's kind of the route I used in the past, and it certainly works. And being able to piggyback with our brand, I just think it'll take off even more.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool.
You're basically a campaign, right? I mean, we spend a lot of money in advertising, and now we just look at you as Zach is another campaign in our business.
Yeah.
And again, tell the people what you do for HomeGuys, and like, what's your day look like? Maybe your day to your full week, and then that's including maybe working with the VA at times, and how the VA comes into play.
No, I would say, I mean, every morning my VA and I are messaging on WhatsApp for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes about leads that came in the day prior that she was calling on. Calls or messages like, hey, follow up on this lead. I set an appointment on Wednesday. Call them to make sure it's still on. So that's kind of how every morning goes. And then we hop on our team call. After that, I am reaching out to realtors in targeted markets that we want to buy in. Specifically, there's an app called Market View Broker, and you can break down, which realtors are doing volume in certain areas. So if we're super interested in, St. Louis Park at the time or Maple Grove, you can target those areas and the realtors doing business there, and then I just shoot them a call. So I would say ripping off tons of calls to realtors. And attending appointments. I mean, these last 2-3 weeks, I've been on 2 appointments a day, helping out with the agent side and just all the leads that are coming in with the business development stuff. But once we really get it going, I'm hoping it's going to be, a ton of coffee meetups, lunch meetups with realtors and probate attorneys. Those are, I call them free deals. We're not really paying to advertise. We're buying coffee. But if we can get a deal from 10 people every year, those are 10 free deals. So it really is all about just networking and, really getting that side of this business development thing going.
So you have to time these out with the coffee shops, because you're going to get a caffeine high. Because I saw what you were drinking before when we first started, Mr. Red Bull.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's exactly what, Zach, you have done more in 6 weeks than 2 other people did, and let's say a combination of almost a year, Jaden.
Probably a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Zach has a little experience in this, which helps, and then he also has the right personality for it, which helps.
Right. So, Zach, we were talking earlier about our predictive index, and you're a Maverick too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So we were just talking about that, how making sure people are in the right seats at the right person in the right seat. And you're definitely the right person in the right seat.
Yeah, there was something that Zach said really early on that if you hear this, you can pretty much tell that the person's a Maverick. He said, I'll just keep calling that person until they give me the middle finger or sign a deal with me. That's a Maverick. Most people wouldn't say that.
Yep. Yep. So, Zach, you and we share that person, that PI. There's only, I think there's 3 of us now. It's my daughter, Maddie. She's definitely a Maverick. And that's why it shows what she's getting these leads where, she is all of a sudden setting appointments where past people have gone, oh, you don't want to set an appointment? Okay, thank you. And then hang up the phone. And Maddie is, so you want to set an appointment? Nope. Well, what if you talk to somebody? Maybe you can get a better idea. So that's why we're getting more quick phone calls to talk to these sellers, and then we're setting up the appointments on the backside. That's never been done before. Again, that's the Maverick personality coming out, like what Jaden was saying.
Sure.
So we have we talked to the Knoxville guys, and we talked to the new guy coming on, San Antonio, and they want to understand the PI predictive index. And this is why we're saying the right person in the right seat, they're going to be there for a lot longer versus trying to shove somebody because they have a pulse. Yeah. And they might think they're good at sales, but in reality, sales just wears them out.
Yeah.
And we don't want that, right? We want to have people around, for a long time, because that's why people leave. Is it just doesn't fit their personality. We don't We don't want that. We want you to stick around. So we think this is a perfect spot for you. How are you handling doing all the paperwork and different things? As a maverick myself, I suck at paperwork, Zach. And how are you managing to do that?
I was just going to bring that up too. It was Shannon and Jen have been, reaching out the last few days about metrics, how many calls are you making? How many XYZ are you doing? And for me, tracking those things all need to be automated. I am using the dialer to automate a lot of those things, but I'm one to just put my head down and go. I don't really spend a lot of time, like you said, on the paperwork, on the data. Right. If things aren't happening in a week or two, I sit down and I think, why aren't things, working? And then I look at the data. I'm certainly just a head down and go kind of guy. So it's been a little bit of a struggle, but we're working through it together. So
let's work on that together. Again, because of having a VA or somebody around, there's different technology out there that I'm looking into right now. I talked about a little bit earlier where you wear this device when you're having a conversation, and when you're all done, you say, give me the cliff notes of everything. And what did I promise? And it'll all of a sudden write everything down for you, and you move on to the next one. We need that. We need somebody cleaning up after us because we're good at being in front of people.
Yeah.
So I think I know Jaden laughs at that because again, he knows that I'm never been a paperwork kind of guy, but I'm exactly what you are. You're gonna get in front of people, and you're gonna get deals done.
Yeah.
But what we want to know as business owners is how you're doing that. How many times you have to dial the phone to get that to get somebody to get a deal. So that's why, again, we were talking about our KPIs. That's why it's really super important that we make sure we keep those KPIs. Jaden in the very beginning used to go, James, you're getting these deals. You're obviously doing something. I go, I don't know, Jaden. I'm just getting the deals. Yeah. No, you're doing something. What are you doing? Jaden, I'm just getting the deals. That's what I go in there and I go, I'm going to get this deal. He's like, James, you're not following me. You're doing something and you're doing it every time. And that's why you're getting the deal. Well, that's when I started realizing, holy shit, he's right. There is steps that I'm doing that I don't even realize I'm doing. I just do it naturally. That just comes, that no one's taught me sales. No one's taught me. It's just, I'm a people person. I'm guessing you're kind of the same way.
Yeah, I would say I don't necessarily have a script going into every, homeowner appointment. But I'm certainly asking the same 5 questions throughout that appointment. Just to try to, build rapport, make them feel comfortable with me, make them feel comfortable with us. So there's certainly strategic, words I use, phrases I say that seem to help.
Right. It just blows my mind. I mean, again, he was right. I didn't realize it. I was just being natural about it. And there's a guy out there. His name is John Martinez, and I think Jerry Green is now running his show. And I was in the elevator with John, and John is 100% introvert. He is, he can get on stage, do his thing, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's in the corner at the elevator, looking down. And all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, John, you ever run into anybody who does this stuff naturally? And he goes, oh, yeah, I run into people all the time that just all this stuff is natural. I go, and he goes, it's about 5%. And I go, I'm one of those 5%.
Well, Jerry Green is natural, I believe. The guy that took over for Joe, I think so.
Yep.
Yep.
And I didn't realize that how it's just natural. So, anyways, John's like, yeah, it's 5% of the people, and then you just must be one of them. Because when we started watching his training, even Brad would look over at me and go, James, that's what you told me to do. That's exactly what you said to do. And then I'm like, I didn't realize it because it came off completely natural.
Yeah.
The thing is that you're in the 5%, but we have other people on our sales team that aren't. So we have to have a process for when they come in. Like, how do we train them on what to do? Because they are going to know. And that's the same thing with Zach. Like, Zach probably has it naturally, but if we get somebody else to help Zach, we're going to need to give them, like, here's the system, here's the process, here's the training on how you do this.
Right. So that's why the ladies are coming after you a little bit about making sure the process is.
we need SOPs. You know, there's got to be
Yeah.
SOPs put in place on how we're doing this. So as we hire somebody else to help, and there's you know, they're not coming in blind.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. So you said something a little bit earlier, like, hey, once all these start hitting in another 6 weeks, it's game on. I mean, is that what you're predicting? I mean, continuing moving forward? I mean, if we can keep the same pattern going?
Absolutely. I am predicting the probate personal rep campaign, just that one itself, to, certainly be a snowball that's building and building. The leads we're, sending letters out to and calling on our recent leads, will say, where, this property is going to go through probate in 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Those people are going to be ready to sell at that point. So our pipeline is just getting full of these leads that are 6, 8 weeks out. And those leads are getting refreshed every other week. So it's just going to keep pushing our pipeline longer out while we're being able to, hit these leads that are all ready to sell.
Right.
So just that campaign in itself, I see, taking off pretty good. And then, I mean, realistically, we haven't done a whole lot with the realtor reach out, the probate attorney reach out. We just haven't had time with, helping out with agent stuff the last few weeks. But once we get these, VAs situated, everything is, rolling how it's supposed to, my time will free up a lot to, start going on more of those meetings. And then more campaigns are just going to flow in, and it should be a snowball. I'm excited about it.
That's you don't understand how excited Jaden and I. You can see on Jaden's face he's super excited.
We've been working on this for over 2 years, probably almost 3 years actually.
I was gonna go 3 because we had it for a year before we actually started moving somebody in there.
Okay.
So we really do appreciate you. Everything that you're doing, we really excited. Just everything about you, Zach, your morals, everything. I mean, it really does come down to you're a really good fit for.
Well, the cool thing is he's a good fit culture-wise too. Not just he's got the right personality for the job, but he's also a good fit on the team culture-wise. Which we have. I don't know, a certain crew of people that get along really well together, and it works way better if everybody gets along well together. So.
Yeah, I agree, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, Jaden, you got anything else for Zach? I think what we'd like to do is maybe once a quarter bring you on and see where you're at. Again, we're doing licensing with other people that are slowly coming on. And one of the reasons is, doing your SOPs is to make sure that we can implement a Zach in somebody else's business.
Yeah, if somebody comes in and they start one of these in Tennessee, like how do they get in this, this process? What does that look like? So
that's what they're buying into. They're buying into the HomeGuys way, right?
They might not be able to find a Zach that has all this experience. So they're going to have to, help train somebody and find the right person,
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm always happy to help. I mean, I've thought about that too. It's like once this thing gets going and you guys have licensees in 15 markets, it'd be fun to help these people out and kind of show them the ropes of, how this stuff works.
Right. So again, we really appreciate you. We're going to have you on again. Jaden, you got anything else for Zach?
I did. I just sent you an email, Zach, about we should look into the senior care industry. That's another good target. We've had a number of deals over the years where somebody, ended up buying the house because the person, had to move to assisted living.
Yeah.
And for years we've been like, well, how do we, instead of just randomly happening upon these things, how do we more, try to get in front of these people when they're in that? Like, where's the trigger point in the process where we could introduce ourselves and get in front of them? Because it's a really good fit. These people have houses that haven't been taken care of for years.
Sure.
They're usually frequent. Sometimes it's almost an emergency. Like they had a fall or something and they went to the hospital and they're not going to go back to their house. They're going to have to go into something else. And now there's family members out of state that are dealing, it's just it can be a mess. And so instead of just randomly happening into these things, try to think through like what process are those families going through and where could we enter the process earlier on. And I think it might be like the senior care advisory industry could be a good place to try to help.
Okay.
There's these senior care consultants that people call and they help like placing them into, assisted living. They help with like helping with handling finances and bills and everything else. but that'd be a good place for like, hey, here's a service. We provide this service, and you could probably, introduce this to some of your customers.
Yeah.
So another thing to think about.
Okay. Yeah. Send it over. I'll take a look.
Yeah. I just sent you one company that does it, but there's a bunch of them. And I thought that's probably a better place to start than originally we had thought, like, let's go talk to assisted living facilities, the marketing directors and stuff, because they have an interest in working with us, because if someone comes in, they usually are using the proceeds from their house to pay for being in the assisted living facility.
Sure.
So they can't come in until the house sells.
Yes.
And this person's being, their job is to get people in and, keep the business going. But the problem is, like, one facility might have 80 units and they're only turning over, a unit or two a month or two. So
Sure.
It probably makes more sense to go up the chain further to like these consultants that are helping place people.
Yeah.
So Zach, what we get right now is we get somebody that calls up and they go, I have to get rid of my house because I'm on a list to going into an assisted living.
Yeah.
And they can't have all that asset. And so they have to get rid of the house. The problem is they have 30 days to make that phone call. Or decide if they're moving in or not. So what we do is this is how we kind of got more familiar with. We need to be on the front side of when they go to the facility and they say, hey, I'm going to move into this this facility. Is there anybody there to help me sell my house? That's what we want them to understand, because again, they cannot take their house with them, because now they're going to, not so much a ward of the state, but it's their state assist now. And we're finding that the ones that are state assist actually have a better option of being able to buy their house versus if it's a family member that they have money and they're just moving them over to an assisted living.
The state assist is, I mean, it's not really important to them what price they get for the house. That's not that important. What's more important is that there's somebody that they can work with to handle these kind of these problems for them, and to not cause them more problems in the process.
Sure.
So that's why it's a good fit. And even the people that aren't going in on state assistance right away, a lot of people in assisted living, they come in with $100,000 or $200,000, and then once that's gone, they just flip over to state assistance. So I mean, that's kind of, a lot of people end up on state assistance either way, depending on how they come in. Doesn't matter. They're going to end up there eventually anyway. So
right.
No, that makes sense. Okay.
So, well, hey, Zach, we appreciate you coming on. I actually went way longer than I wanted to, but I'm actually happy because I think everything went really well. So we're going to end it here. And again, we just really do appreciate you being on our show.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Have a good rest of your day. Let's keep it rolling.
Right. Awesome.
Thanks, Zach.
Here.